Hello, this is Greg Austin with Green Gregs coming to you on the 4th of June, 2021, time on deck, 1100 hours Central Daylight Time. This is the 32nd anniversary of the Tiananmen Square Massacre in Beijing, China. It is something that we ought to remember simply, if nothing else, because they're trying to get us to forget it so hard. Not only is the Chinese Communist Party trying to erase this from memory and sweep it under the rug, but even some media sources here in the United States of America. Wow, isn't that strange? Why would they do that? Well, my friends, that's why we got to keep our eyes wide open and head on the swivel. There's so much coming at us. That's why I bring you this news. Please bang the update notification. Please subscribe to my channel, bang the update notification bell, and click all if you're not already done so, because I bring you more news items like this. But I also tell you very important, critical things like how to grow your own food, which you're going to need to know how to do when it hits the fan. I also bring you videos to tell you about things like how to eat free from the weeds and the trees, you know, how to find wild edibles and medicinals. Those are very important things to know too. But again, this is why you should subscribe. But look, guys, we all know that sometimes you just can't find the calories and the proteins you need from some of these things. Sometimes crops go not so well. So it's a challenge. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of the great deal I have at prepwithgreg.com. At prepwithgreg.com, you can get not only $50 off for a 4-week supply, you can get now $300 off. $300 off a 3-month supply of this food that lasts for 25 years. It gives you 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with drinks and desserts. So it makes you a winner. Guys, you talk about days when the food prices are going up, this will be a good investment. 2,000 calories per day, ladies and gentlemen. And it's lightweight, easy to store, easy to carry. So check it out. Go to prepwithgreg.com and check on the, click on the micro, my Patriot Supply logo, and it takes you into their website with all of the kinds of choices of food, long-lasting food, and other prepping supplies. So let's get on with the story here. So 32 years ago today, the students in Beijing and Tiananmen Square had been protesting for freedom. It had started on the 15th of April, same year, with the death of Mr. Hu Yongbang. He had been the previous chairman, actually, of the Chinese Communist Party. So, but he was a very pro-reform chairman, and became even more pro-reform apparently after he exited from his chairmanship. And upon his death, the students started rallying in commemoration of him, and in hopes that they could get more freedoms in their own society. They thought they really could do it. The Chinese Communist Party labeled them as counter-revolutionaries. But actually, they weren't really trying to overthrow the Chinese Communist Party. They were actually singing, when they were actually right at the verge of the massacre, when they were being herded out, they were singing the Chinese national anthem. Wow, so think about that. So they weren't trying to overthrow the Chinese Communist Party. They actually had the hopes of changing it, of modifying it. But it did not work so well. What they found is, no, they just couldn't do that. So, you know, and they even had a hunger strike. And what were they looking for in their hunger strike? Guys, what they were looking for was changes because they were protesting widespread illegal business dealings of corrupt officials, dominance. They wanted to end the domination of abusive power, corruptions of bureaucrats, and the fleeing of large numbers of really good people from China to other countries. That was their beefs. They thought they were being patriots, patriotic, trying to build a better country in China. And what happened is they got cracked down on very severely. 30,000. They actually had this had spread into 400 cities in China. You know, so here we were in the spring of 1989. It looked like China might really turn a leaf and become a true democracy. You know, a lot of people got really enthusiastic about this until 30,000 troops entered Tiananmen Square. And it's said that maybe thousands, the BBC said 10,000 estimated may have been killed by that event. They were actually firing on these students. You know, these students, you know, holding up signs and calling for peace and liberty. You know, they had to be fired with them because they were such a threat, you know, to the armed troops and tanks. Well, many more were injured and a lot were arrested. Thousands injured, thousands arrested. You know, and we don't know what the true number was that were shot and killed, but the injuries were pretty extensive. But even today, the moms of those that were killed can't even talk about it. Not in China, no. So there's heavy censorship. And in fact, what happened since then is that not only can you not talk about it in China, but Hong Kong had a yearly commemoration of this event in Victoria Park, but that's been banned. Not only that, but they've even arrested people, and they're talking about anybody they think might be willing to lead a vigil. You know, that's what they've been doing in Hong Kong every year to this year on this new security law that China has forced down the throats of Hong Kongers. You know, national security, right? On this new law, anybody commemorating or participating in this vigil could see 5 years in prison. This includes people who were like wearing black, who are carrying a candlelight vigil. Oh my gosh, or chanting songs. These, in fact, they arrested a lady there who was known as Grandma Wong, and they've arrested several other people. And she had just a solo vigil, and she got arrested for that. Now, all for the purpose, I claim it's all for the purposes of health. You know, maybe not spreading the bug around, it's going around. Well, a solo vigil, right? So yeah, 5 years is what they can sentence people to prison for. So it's pretty off the charts. And again, like I said, the Chinese Communist Party had accused those students of rioting. They weren't rioting. It was a peaceful protest. So, and in fact, after that, for 18 months, the Chinese Communist Party continued the crackdown. They did constant videos trying to scare the bejesus out of the people in the country of China over anything related to this, so they never want to dream about it again. And they investigated over 4 million members of their own party. To this day, now, it just so happens, though, that since Taiwan is yet to be crushed and destroyed by the Chinese Communist Party, they still commemorate this event, and they're actually calling for freedom within China. I'll show you some news articles. So, you know, the hope is that maybe the wishes of the Taiwanese prevail. So, guys, this is a huge difference. You know, a lot of you have attacked, you know, my videos. I'm not talking about China. What America's far worse than China. I'm not saying America's been a beautiful, wonderful place, and we haven't done things. We've committed our sins, especially under the CIA's the Dulles brothers, and doing things like throwing out a democratically elected president of Iran and bringing in a dictator called the Shah, who was brutal, and that precipitated the total regime we have today. See, it come back. The karma bit us real bad from some of these things done, and some of the other places they've overthrown stuff. It has somewhat diminished the popularity of the United States and tarnished our image as being a nation promoting freedom. Well, that's what we need to go back to, is promoting freedom in all ways that we can. And hopefully we can overcome some of these things. And yeah, we've had our past, and you know, the army of racial justice who came down to free the slaves in the name of racial justice went out and wholesale slaughtered the Indians in the plains of America right after they freed the slaves. All in the name of racial justice, I presume. Wholesale, same guys, same troops went west into the plains and wholesale slaughtered Indians. That was a really sad chapter in our history. But to my knowledge, we haven't done anything in this century that compares to what's happened at Tiananmen Square, at least not in our country, or what's happening with the Tibetans, or what's happening with the Uyghurs. You know, open air prison within our own country is so large and so many people. You know, we are really in this country trying now to promote minorities in many ways. We are doing, we're trying to make up for a lot of our past grievances. We're trying to learn and overcome these things. But China, at least in mainland China, under the leadership, the People's Republic of China, under the leadership of the CCP, does not seem to be too enamored by such things. Now, there's good people in every country, in every hamlet, race, city. You know, these things There's good and bad people everywhere, but there's good people from every racial background, every religious background, and every city and hamlet in the world, to include mainland China. Now, as you can see, the thirst for freedom there is still strong. It's just been stomped on real hard. The people of Taiwan are ethnically the same people as China and mainland China. They're both Chinese people. Just one has freedom and one doesn't. Not as much so. So, and maybe less so in the future. And you got to wonder about ourselves and our own freedom. You know, especially when we got social media that seems to want to put a boot down our throat. Okay, guys. So all that said, let's have a look at some of these things. I want to share some things with y'all. So this, we might start with a PowerPoint presentation if I got it open. Hang on. Give me a second to open it up. Share, ping. Yeah, here's the idea of Xi Jinping trying to erase the history of Tank Man. Yeah, we got to talk about Tank Man a little bit. So, yeah, here's your little peaceful protest here. Let me blow this up. Bing. Yeah, sitting there, all these students sitting in Tiananmen Square. They look really rough. This really looks like a riot to me, right? How about a guy holding up a sign, Liberty? Don't these guys just look like they're bloodthirsty here? Hardly. You know, nice, sweet faces, you know, nice, calm, sweet faces here, you know. What can you say? They just want liberty. They want a chance to live. And then we have our buddy Tank Man. A lot of you guys don't realize this is one of the things that's really been censored. And some of the videos and pictures of Tank Man were hidden in a toilet. Actually, we probably wouldn't have any of these if it hadn't been for all the journalists that got into China when Mikhail Gorbachev happened to be there at that time. It was the first time since the 1960s there had been a meeting between the heads of China and Russia, and they were trying to make some measure of peace, and China had let in a lot of journalists to do that. And they were still trying to grab the stuff from the journalists and hide it, but some of the journalists actually hid their photos and films in their toilet in order to keep them being seen. So this is Tank Man. A lot of people have seen this picture, but they're trying to limit this picture now, even here in the United States. So what's real so brave about this is that this is actually on the 5th of June, the day after the massacre. This guy was still standing up to the authorities, and these tanks were trying to go around him. But everywhere at the time they tried to go around, he'd just step in front of him. He just kept stepping in front, and kept stepping in front. And people, you know, think, wow, that's pretty brave. But, you know, he wasn't just holding off this. Look at the line of tanks he was actually holding off. It goes way back here, my friends. He was holding on, and there was all these tanks back here. He was holding off quite a tank force. Blown up car, I don't know what that is. So he is standing right here, and they would try to move, and he would just keep adjusting. And I guess, you know, the head tank commander just didn't have it in his heart to run over the guy. So apparently he had a heart. But, you know, a lot of these guys were actually firing on a lot of these people here. So this is a brave guy, and I'm told that he wasn't the only one. He's just apparently the only one that the journalists got photographs of. You see a lot of forces back here in the background too, friends. So, and here is here's the vigils I believe they used to have in Hong Kong, candlelight vigils, which are no more because it's just such a threat to the security of the People's Republic of China. They just can't have this in Hong Kong anymore. Even though Hong Kong was supposed to be free until 1949. Two systems, right? Well, we see how well that worked. We'll see how that's going to work for Taiwan. Let's hope that there's not an invasion. Well, let's stop that share. We'll go to another share. Hello. We're going to go to another share here in a second. So stop that share. And we're going to go to what I said social media in the United States is even trying to ban this stuff. I'm going to go a little quick to that. Give me a second. One of the social media outlets that was DuckDuckGo was actually banning and shit on this stuff. Everybody thinks DuckDuckGo is wide open. No, they're not. Even DuckDuckGo was doing that. But now this is in Microsoft Bing, so I guess Microsoft Bing got beat up for this and decided to bring it back in. So here, Microsoft blocks Bing from showing image results for Tiananmen Tank Man. Well, there he is now, and here's the article on it in Microsoft Bing. But Microsoft Bing is actually carrying a story where they were getting beat up for it. So there you go. You can find them on Wikipedia and other sources. And we don't know who Tank Man was or what happened to him or the tank commander that didn't run over him. We do not know that to this day. These guys might have got court-martialed, but who knows. So we'll stop that share. We're going to go to another share here. In just 1 second. Momentum, please. So that takes a few minutes to shift all this around. And channels that have more time and resources would edit all this out. But guys, I barely have time to sleep. So just bear with me a second. Here we go. 1989 Tiananmen Square protest. Now, yeah, there's more to this than a protest, especially in the way it ended. Of course, in China, they like to refer to this event that took place in over 400 cities and ended in such a vast array of casualties as June 4th incident. That is when they do refer to it. They're trying to totally sweep this under the rug, though. So just bear in mind that this is what it is. Here's a man in charge of the crackdown, Deng Xiaoping, however you say it. So he is the man who really prosecuted the crackdown. Now, the funny thing is, a couple of weeks before the 4th of June, they had tried to send tanks in, and the people at the protesters convinced them to turn around. And there was a general who was opposed to attacking that they fired him and court-martialed him, and he got in all kinds of trouble. And including one of the deputies of Deng Xiaoping was ostracized from the party and put under house arrest for not cooperating with crackdown. So there was some division within China over this, but in the end, the Chinese Communist Party had their way. Of course, what you know, why this is significant is this year is actually the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party, because it started in 1921, and this is 2021. That is the significance here. And so Chinese Communist Party is trying to track down. And here you can see the general secretaries of the Communist Party. And this is the guy who they were commemorating his passing on the 15th of April, 1989. That started the student protest, which later ended in the massacre on the 4th of June. And of course, this is the current general secretary. And, you know, they're missing some in here. It's kind of interesting. Many of you guys remember this guy. He and Barbara Boxer were great friends, but he also was in charge of a lot of crackdowns within the People's Republic of China. So he's anything but an innocent, lovable man, in my humble opinion. So, you know, the crackdowns that were started by this adorable gentleman have continued since. I say that with tongue in cheek, if you haven't noticed. So, check it out. This young lady, Chow Hang-tung, was wanting to commemorate the anniversary of this thing, and she was arrested in front of her office in Hong Kong. So let's hope she gets off without somewhat less than 5 years. But in Taiwan, look here, they got Tank Man commemorated in an inflatable tank. Looks like they got a little motor blowing air into it. So they are still recognizing this anniversary there. And they're calling on China to return power to the people. Supposed to be the People's Republic of China. So, hey, People's Republic of China, how about listening to the Republic of China and returning the power to the people? Yeah, in case you don't know, the Republic of China is what we call Taiwan. And it is the older of the two governments. It is older. It started before 1921. Chinese Communist Party were the insurgents that drove the party that was in power out to Taiwan, which is actually the island of Formosa. And here's our tank man buddy. Here's an article on it. It says, Tiananmen Square tank man vanishes from Microsoft Bing, DuckDuckGo, and other search engines, even in America. Wow, guys. Now, you can see some of this come back. Brave man, a Chinese man, stands in front of tanks advancing east down the Chiagan Boulevard. I said it right. Monday morning, in front of the Beijing Hotel. Yeah, that was back in the 5th of June, 2021. So yeah, he was a brave man, quite brave. He was standing in front of a line of tanks, and they could have ran him over flat. So I hope this man is alive and prospering and doing well. That's all I can say. That man is a hero and an icon. We should never forget that kind of resilience in the face of superior forces. Never forget it, my friends, because we can win, and we will in the end. They just don't want us to know that. That's why they would like to hide this. Let me stop the share. That's why they want to hide this kind of stuff. They don't want you to be aware that China is anything other than just a lovable teddy bear, big panda bear. And Xi Jinping is just so cuddly. You know, he's got that, cocks his head over, puts on that sheepish little smile as he's leading all kind of mayhem. Okay. So I brought that up about the America's part, and because there's so many people telling me that we're so much worse. Yeah, we did drop a couple of atom bombs in Japan, and that was a horrible thing. But a lot of people had said that there'd be more people die in the Battle of Tokyo, where we were expected to drop in a lot of airborne troops, including my dad. They thought that would have 1 million casualties. I don't know. That was quite a time ago now, 1945. We've not been perfect. No one is. And yeah, there's a lot this country can learn. The United States, in many ways, is trying, not entirely, and our trying may be sometimes not such a good thing either, because we're not always doing everything truly equitably. But it's a far cry from what you see in China today. Far cry from that. So I don't accept the moral equivalency. It's going to make a lot of you mad. Again, I'm not saying the United States has been a great wonderful. My whole position is that governments are all tarnished. And governments are all, and especially large national governments, almost all of them are too large for the britches. Hey, I favor tribal governments. I think the largest government we ought to have is a county, not even a state. But you know, good luck with that, right? So now watch when we become president of the United States. Just kidding. Anyway, so guys, you know, the history is fraught with a lot of tragedy. And what I tell you is this in this channel, and I've said it over and over and over and over, that with the technology proliferating today, the equivalency of weapons of mass destruction is being democratized. It's not a good thing. What I mean is it's going out to get into the hands of smaller and smaller groups worldwide. We're talking about bioweapon research. You realize there's biolabs in every country on the planet. There are nanotechnology being spread, other things, you know, that gum, even the robot swarms. I mean, you know, what do we call them? UAVs, the these little oh shoot, I got one right here. What do you call them? Let's get a video on this. These little call them UAVs, that's the name for the big ones. These little guys. Swarms of these could be the equivalent of weapons of mass destruction. Done a video on that. And it's becoming more and more true. I'm just getting brain locked right now. Okay, forgive me. So we are, and God knows what other kind of technologies that will come along that could give equivalency of weapons of mass destruction. And it could be breakthrough energy technology or breakthrough physics of some type. It may actually empower anybody with a bottle and a few fizzy chemicals and a few sparks. I don't know. I'm being a little bit facetious here, but the weapons of mass destruction technology is proliferating rapidly and going far to the point that we can't afford to move forward in a world of hatred. Yet you can't afford to let someone run the world over. I mean, think back in that go back to the end of August in 1939 before Hitler invaded Poland. Are we there today? Are we there today? I mean, would you just let Hitler keep going? Say, hey, moral equivalency, we've been so bad, we should just let him have his turn. A lot of people would say that. There's people who would say that in this country today. And quite a few are probably watching this channel right now. But there's quite a few that wouldn't accept that. Well, who would you accept? Anybody doing that? Just running over countries and taking them over? The problem is where do they stop? It could be Japan, Germany, Russia, United States. No, we shouldn't do it either. You know, at least we'd give countries back their freedom after we took them, although we kept them probably in our finance system. But look at the Philippines. You know, we actually acquired them from Spain in the Spanish-American War. Cuba wasn't exactly our friend a few years after we turned it over. So, yeah, we have not held on to everything. We have turned some things loose. We actually tried, in the case of Cuba, we tried to set them up with a democratic government, but you know, it's a small country, and graft and corruption grew, and the people that had power there, kind of mafioso type thing, and Castro took over. Not to say that Castro was any better, not by a long shot, but I don't know, the people there, I don't know. Castro definitely had brought us some challenges. So there you go. Like I said, I'm not saying the United States is innocent or not. I'm saying all big national governments are very problematic. Very problematic. But, you know, don't beat me up with that, guys. Come on, take a breath. You know, that's not a reason to let China keep doing what they're doing. It's not a reason to lose sight on memory of what's happened. To just let it be forgotten, erased, and swept under the rug. Because when you forget history, you repeat history. We'd like to not see it repeated. We would like to see lessons learned from it, to see us grow from it, develop, and overcome those kind of things and keep them happening in the past, whether it be history in China or even history in the United States, like what America did with, say, the Sioux Indian, for example, or any other Indian tribe, Native American tribe, or slavery, for example. Those things were awful. They were bad. Slavery was bad. What was done, against the American Indians, what was atrocious, but so hopefully we'll learn from these things and move forward. That's all we can do. Water under the bridge is water under the bridge. The question is, what do we do now? I can't go back and undo what happened, but we can deal with what we got today. And today we do have a man in China who seems to have some very ambitious ambitions, militaristic. It's not to say the United States don't have some too, but at least we haven't done a Tiananmen Square of late, to my knowledge. Although we do fling tomahawks around a bit much. All right, guys. For what it's worth, I hope we can get out of this mode. But we got a lot to learn. But yeah, we can't stand down when you got a Xi Jinping out there. So we're kind of in a crux on that. But I just want it to be known that we need to remember this time. We need to remember those events, and the purpose of remembering it is so that it doesn't happen again. We learn from our mistakes. We've all made mistakes. As individuals, as society, we all make mistakes. The question is, can we learn from them? As I often always say also, light dispels darkness and love dispels hate. So let us shine a love light in the world, and hopefully we can start breaking some of the hate down and push it back. Hope for the best. Pray for the best. But if you're not preparing for the worst, I think you're naive. There's a lot of stuff popping around us. So that I'm going to say, I wish you all a great weekend, and thank you for watching.